Welcome to Cowgirl Up, the podcast dedicated to elevating your mindset. I'm your host, Laurie Blickenstaff, certified mental performance coach at mentalgame101.com. Welcome back to a brand new week on Cowgirl Up. And this week, we're going to dive into a topic that I think will make a lot of things click into place for you. We're going to be talking about the ego. And before you say, oh, that's not me, I'm not an egotistical person. Well, that's not what we're talking about here. The ego is not arrogance. It's not bragging or thinking you're better than everyone else. In the context of mindset and performance, the ego is simply that part of us that is constantly trying to protect our self-image. The part that needs to prove, to perform, and to be approved of. And every single one of us has one. Now, Jim Murphy, he's the author of a book called Inner Excellence that I've been reading. He's also one of the best sports performance psychologists out there. And he describes the ego as the false self. The version of you that's always checking whether you're measuring up, always scanning for signs of approval or rejection, and constantly comparing and judging. To understand this ego, just think about a little kid, maybe yourself as a child or a child you know now. So when a 5-year-old draws a picture, they're not worried about whether it's good enough. They're just drawing. And when they run around at recess, they're not thinking about what everyone thinks of their running form. They're just playing. They're fully present and completely free. But what happens is that as we grow older, we start becoming more aware of ourselves and our performance. We begin comparing ourselves to others and judging how we're doing. And that shift from simply enjoying what we do to worrying about how we're doing it, that is the ego waking up within us. And from that point on, it just becomes an engine that's constantly running in the background. Now, here's the mindset connection that I want you to really get today. So everything we've talked about on this podcast, recently, the subconscious, the RAS, those limiting beliefs, your purpose, all of it intersects with the ego. Because the ego is the voice behind the limiting beliefs. It's the filter your RAS is using when it scans for evidence that you're not enough. It's the reason your subconscious gets fed so much doubt and fear. Because the ego has been running the show quietly and for a very long time. But here's what I love about this topic. Understanding the ego is not about beating yourself up for having one. It's about, imagine that, awareness. And awareness, as we always say in this podcast, is the first step. So this week, we're going to unpack how the ego affects your performance, your mindset, and your joy. We'll talk about the voice inside, the one that tears you down, and another voice inside that's trying to rise up. And then we'll talk about what it looks like to compete and live from a place of freedom instead of fear. And I want to introduce this week's power statement so that you can carry it with you all through the week. And I think you're going to love how it connects to what we've been building already together. And you'll see how it ties into this week as the days go by. So the power statement is, I feed my inner champion and it shows up for me. Okay, one more time. I feed my inner champion and it shows up for me. You'll see exactly what that means this week. So tune back in tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you have any questions, feedback, or comments, I'd love to hear from you. Email me at Laurie@mentalgame101.com.